Yo, what is up, YouTube? I'm Blitz5, and today I'm going to be going over the latest League of Legends champion reveal, and that is Kindred, the Eternal Hunters. So Kindred is one of those champions, kind of like Nunu, where there's two people, or a person, a champion, and another like animal that's added onto it. So with Nunu, you have Nunu, who is the Yeti rider, and then Willump, I think, is the name of the Yeti that he's riding, or like the Abominable Snowman, if you want to call it that. So in this case, you have Kindred, and then he has his hunter, which is called Lamb, as you'll see in a second here. So like I do with most of these videos, I'm just going to go through the video so you can get this on YouTube in audio form and listen to the new update instead of having to read through it, and then just share some of my opinion and, you know, make a YouTube video out of it. So the description here for this champion is: we're almost ready to breathe life into League's new next champion, a marksman designed for life in the jungle. So Kindred plows through camps, marking enemy champions for death and permanently growing in strength if they're able to carry out the promised sentence. But just as Kindred brings death, so can they delay it. Should their allies meet deadly force, Lamb, one of Kindred's two spirits, can create a large blessed zone that for a few valuable seconds denies the ever-creeping inevitable and the inevitable clutches of death. So that was like weirdly written. I actually stumbled there at the end because there's a lot of like dashes here. But basically they're referring to some of his moves in his ult here, which we'll show in a second, which kind of leaves this blessed zone. So we'll get into that. So this is a pretty cool character design. I thought this was going to be something, I'm not sure, like related to Bard, or when they were first doing the trailer or the reveal before they actually showed the character. I thought this was going to be another character along the lines of like Kog'Maw, because it's kind of this like bone structure, kind of looks like bone marrow from or whatever that character was in Pokemon. It reminds me of him. But anyways, let's get on to the abilities here. So this is a cool champion. I mean, I like the color design. It definitely is a little bit magical like Bard. And I like that the fact that this is an ADC type character that will work in the jungle. It's pretty funny because some people on Reddit made jokes that like they want Mordekaiser in the ADC lane, and then this character, which is an ADC, to be jungle. So like, do they want ADCs to jungle? But it was just a joke. But I think this works well. The combination, you know, having a new ADC, which is good. I think the last ADC was Callista, and then a new jungler is awesome. I like this theme. It's pretty cool. So anyways, let's get to the passive here. So I'll play it and read it. Hopefully this volume isn't too loud. I kind of put it low just so you can hear a little bit of it. But landmarks an enemy champion anywhere on the map, so that's important. It could be anywhere on the map. For death, after delay, the mark activates. If Kindred kills them or assists in their death, they gain a permanent stackable bonus to their basic attacks. In addition to Lamb choosing an enemy champion for the mark of Kindred, Wolf automatically hungers for large enemy jungle monsters from time to time. All champions can see targets that are marked for death. So basically, this is a passive that's like kind of global and gonna stack if Kindred kills them. So Kindred being like the actual champion itself. And then the second part of this passive is for Wolf, and it benefits if you're jungling. He occasionally will attack a jungle monster, so that's why they're giving him kind of this double passive, because there's one if he's in lane, it will mark the enemy, and then if you're in the jungle, it kind of works in the jungle. I like this double passive because it gives them viability in both spots, and it doesn't always work at the same time. Well, it's not going to work at the same time unless there's an enemy champion next to the monsters, and I like that because a lot of times they say like, oh, for example, the AP Fizz, I mean AD Fizz. AD Fizz doesn't work because it's just like, it's too broken. But if you had a thing like, if you did AD, it made your abilities do this, and if you build AP, it makes your abilities do this. It would make AD Fizz viable. That might sound like a bad example, but I just like the idea of having it where it has two different passives and they're not active at the same time, and they're both good for two different scenarios. I think that's really interesting, and I wouldn't doubt if we see more of that from Riot Games, League of Legends. So in Q is Dance of Arrows. This kind of reminds me of like an Echo move where he's going to dash and then do damage to 3 enemies nearby. So let's play this and read the official description here. So Kindred dashes into a target location, a target direction. So he dashes to a target direction before firing up to 3 nearby enemies. So you'll see here that he dashes, and then there's he hits 3 nearby enemies. One of them is a champion, and in this case 2 of them are minions. So you'll see the dash zone is fairly far. It's the size of the entire lane here, which is good. I mean, the range that the marks will hit. So the dash is only like a small dash, like a Lucian or Graves dash. Very small, but the range that the abilities will hit in, I think, is that circle, I'm assuming. So that's pretty interesting. That won't be able to go over a lot of terrain, I would assume. Just very small, like going from river to maybe like where the jungle is, there's sometimes those small walls. I don't know if that would go over actual like the bushes here. I'm not really sure if it would go over that. It's pretty tiny. We'll have to see in game if it does that. But anyways, a strong move gives a little bit of mobility, and it gives you widespread damage, which is cool. Then we have Wolf's Frenzy, which was a little confusing to me. So let's see. On my first read, I'll read it again. The passive Kindred builds stacks of Hunter's Vigor as they move around. Once fully stacked, Kindred's next basic attack steals a flat of health. So that's pretty strong. Again, they're giving this champion a lot of things, dash and a heal here. So a lot of people are going to be talking about that. A lot of new champions have a lot of stuff in their kit. And then the active is Wolf temporarily splits from Lamb, and he will attack an enemy. So let's see. Creating a large spirit zone around him, attacking whoever Lamb attacks, or his closest enemy. Lamb can cast Dance of Arrows with a greatly reduced cooldown when in Wolf's Friendly. So Dance of Arrows is his Q. So if you do your W, you activate W, it gives you this zone. It looks like Wolf will go out and attack, and then you can actually use your cast Dance of Arrows with a reduced cooldown. So you're definitely going to want to like WQ, start dealing massive amounts of damage. And this seems like it's going to be one of those situations where you're going to like Q in, then kind of kite back, and then maybe use your Q again on a lower cooldown to Q out. So definitely like similar kind of to Echo, where you want to go in and out of the fights. It seems like he's going to be similar to that, when at least when you're dealing damage. His E is Kindred initially slows a target enemy, so slow here. If they're able to attack their crippled target 3 times, the target suffers a burst of % max health damage, which is so strong. So he has this E, which is going to heal him. Then you can W. Let's see. So you can E, slow the target. W, activate your W, so then Wolf starts attacking, and then Q, and then you're going to deal 3 damage all around. So that's really strong. And then this % health is just going to make him really strong. I feel like this is immediately going to get taken by top lane, and even though they wanted to be ADC jungler, I feel like I would definitely play it to top lane % health damage, especially with this dash. It would be like Nidalee and Fiora playing top lane at once, because you'll see this ultimate. It's just like Fiora's and kind of Bard's put together. So the ultimate is Kindred creates a large but temporary zone beneath itself or a targeted ally. While active, Lamb Respite prevents all units within its boundaries from dropping below critical levels of health. Finally, Lamb's Respite applies a flat heal to all champions still inside as it ends. So this is kind of like a Bard ultimate, but instead of zoniazing them, it prevents anyone from dying and then heals them. So this is really interesting. It's like the Fiora ultimate and Bard put together, and it works on enemy champions and allied champions. So just quickly in my head as I'm thinking about this, like recording this video, it's like, when are you going to use this in a really good situation, in a scenario? Like, you'd use this protecting your ADC or someone that shouldn't die. I guess you could use it maybe under your turret, but then you're preventing the enemies from dying. This is a really interesting ability. I'm not really sure when I would use it, because you're saving people from death. So maybe like it would be a good Zillion counter, because if the enemy team like uses the Zillion ultimate, then you could put this and they're not going to die. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's good if you get caught out and like you're getting a lot of damage dealt to you, or say like Ziggs ults the enemy, your team. So Ziggs ults you, you're already starting with low health. You could place this over yourself on the team fight and protect yourself from dying early on, and then maybe lifesteal back into the fight. So I could see that, because sometimes you start a fight and someone got caught out, and then you took an unnecessary amount of damage, and you're already starting that fight pretty low, or someone might die really early in the fight. So if someone's about to die early in the fight, you could put this ult down, and then it would save that person while you start damaging the other team. And because you're just starting to damage the other team, they wouldn't be in jeopardy of dying, so you wouldn't have to worry about this stopping them from dying. But either way, it's an interesting ultimate, and I don't know how I feel about these ultimates that are like this, this healing on the ground, because it's really hard to sometimes tell when it goes off and tell the zone. And a lot of times, like if you're a melee character, it's just really hard to position yourself in this. I just think it makes it really hard. Like Fiora's ultimate, sometimes I have a hard time getting out of it unless I'm playing like a mage or I'm really far back. Then you know, like you're not going to be in Fiora's ultimate. But other than that, if you're trying to play like any melee character or support, it's hard to get out, because you're trying to get in to you know, deal damage or CC or do something like that, right? And it's kind of hard, but we'll see how it works out. And having another champion like this maybe will make it, you know, make players more aware, because you're going to have Fiora Bard, and this character that kind of have these alts that are giant circles like this, and Ziggs, I guess. So then there's just some additional information here, what you're going to want to do, how he's successful in the jungle. I think this is stuff that you could skip here. Basically what they're saying is that the mark is going to make people play passively, and that's interesting, definitely, for sure. So if you need some additional information, I would definitely check out this page on LeagueOfLegends.com. It's on the home page now. They have some of the synergy champions that he would play well with: Gragas, Alistar, Ashe. Ashe is a great one here because of the slow, so I think that's pretty interesting. And then struggles against Lee Sin, Irelia, and Cassiopeia. Irelia would definitely be able to stick to... Irelia, any character with a dash is good against sticking to characters that have dashes like this, that aren't that large, and good at sustain. So I also feel like Xin Zhao would probably be good against this champion. Cassiopeia, a lot of burst damage, and Lee Sin, let's see, because they say his dueling power would be tough in the jungle. So definitely some interesting things here. Some information. Excited for this champion, but definitely not as excited as some of the other releases. I think this one's a little bit more lackluster. Not a lot of new ideas here. The kit reminds me of Echo and Bard put together, so I'm not overwhelmed with joy here, and I wish that they kind of slowed down on the champion releases. For a while they had so many coming out that were so good. I feel like if they spaced it out, it would have been a little bit better. But a lot of great champions like Gnar, Callista, Echo, Bard that have come out recently, so definitely a good job for them. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and Blitz5, I'm out.